So hi guys, you're watching Atmosphere, and for today's video we have joined with Ellen, and she's from Belgium, and she's an architecture and interior student, and she will be sharing her experience of being an architecture student in Belgium, and she will be also showcasing her work. She will be explaining a lot of things that is required to be an architecture student and an interior student in Belgium. So I want you to introduce to our viewer about yourself.
Hi, my name is Ellen and I am a architecture student. I'm currently studying interior architecture and I am going to my third year. I also have a YouTube channel dedicated to architecture because I want to show my experience and also help other students as well.
So the next thing that I want to ask from you is that how your typical days look like, and being an architecture student, what are the days, like how you feel about the day, and what are the routine that you follow? So we want to know that.
So typically, if I have a design studio, I wake up pretty early. Then I go to the campus. A design studio usually lasts the whole day. So when I'm there, I usually have to wait for my feedback. My feedback moments are like 10 minutes, but while waiting, I can work on my project or for other classes as well. I can socialize with the other students. We also eat there. So that usually takes the whole day. And then afterwards, when I get my feedback, I go home and then I will brainstorm at home what I can do better, think about the feedback that I got. And then it's already pretty late, so then I will just chill a bit and then that's it for the day.
So the next question that I want to ask you is that what is the architect, like can you name some architect that inspires you, the work that inspires you and keep you motivated to work more?
So an architect that inspires me is Mies van der Rohe. I first saw him in my history classes about architecture. The way he uses his materials, he usually uses like very rich materials like marble and like very special stones. I think it definitely adds something to a construction and to the walls, like the way he places also the walls in a building is really interesting, and that definitely inspires me, and I would also love to make like buildings like he did as well.
Can you tell the story how you end up in architecture student, how you end up as an architecture student, like how the interest developed and how you enroll up in an architecture college? So we want to know that.
So when I was in high school, we already had the option to study architecture, and from there it really came. Like I always loved art and drawing, and I was always like a really creative person, and the fact that I could already study that in high school was amazing. And once I had to choose what I wanted to do further in university, it was like very obvious for me that I wanted to like study at university and also be an architect as well.
So that was the idea behind becoming an architecture student, and that's how you got interested in architecture. So next, so can you also share something about your college and anything that makes your college different, and what are the things that you follow up, like from the design brief, from the design stage, like what is the whole curriculum that you guys follow, and what are the softwares that you take forward while designing your thing? So something more about your college.
So my college, the difference between other like architecture schools, it's very free. You can do whatever you want. It's like the subjects that we have is like very open, and that definitely is positive because you can be very creative in the projects and the works that you design. Also, we have like a design studio, but we also have a media class and an expression class, and it's like good because then you can also learn how to draw, You can do something with objects, like it's like there are very different classes. The software programs that we work with are Rhino. We also work with AutoCAD. Those are like the main software programs, and that's also what we learned in school. And for like SketchUp, it's something that we haven't learned, but it's something that they expect you to learn on your own to like portray your designs better. You can also make drawings by hand. It doesn't have to be on a computer or like make models. It's definitely something personal, and you can choose what's better for you. And for like how the classes work and the design studios, it's usually 5 weeks that we have to design a project. So the first week we get like a briefing of what we need to do. And then each week we get a feedback moment until the 5th week, and that is the presentation day. And I feel like for us students, it isn't enough time to design something. Like 5 weeks is not a lot of time, but yeah, that's how it is. And in our last year, there's like a big project, and that will last the whole year. It's like our final design studio thing, and then we graduate. So that's like a whole year.
And do you know about the conditions, like how in European countries like France, Germany, Belgium, like if an international student want to come and join? Do you know what are the criteria?
Because it's kind of difficult here in my country, because they expect you definitely to have the degree. So there is like a program here as well, an English program that you can follow if you want to study here. So there is like 3 years of a bachelor and 2 years of a master, and then they expect you to also do 2 years of an internship.
Okay, so that is required if an international.
Yes.
If an international student want to study in, okay.
They can like follow a special program.
Okay, so that's how an international student can work in Belgium.
Yeah.
So Ellen, can you share your work with us, like
Yes.
Your portfolio and the work that you did? And can you explain about how it was done in your college, and like what were the learning while doing so?
So this was my first project that I had from my design studio. We had to think of a room from our memories. So I chose the interior from my grandma. And I really liked it because it's very chaotic, many different textures and colors. And I made like 3 mixed media collages, one with watercolors, with fabric, and also pictures. And then with that idea, we actually had to design an object with it. And I was thinking of a vase because her cupboard was full of vases. So that is what I made. I made a vase, and it was also with like the textures and the colors from her interior. And then we also had to do a performance art. So it was like very expressive and very artistic. It learned us to like think out of the box. It was very different. So then the next like design studio that we had is we had to choose a garden house. So on the left it is the model, on the right it's the picture of it, and we had to make a transformation of the house. So I made like maybe 30 models. Each week I had to make 10 models. Like it were a lot of models that we had to make, and eventually this was my end result. So I mirrored the garden house, and I also extruded it, and I wanted to do like a special effect in the middle. So I made like these holes, and it created like this holy effect when you walked into the garden shed. and yeah, it was really amazing. So then the next design studio that I had was one where we had to design a multifunctional furniture that was located at our school. So first I made a mood board with mixed media. Each week we had to make models, design things. So like in the process you design a lot. And these are like a few examples of the models that I made. And eventually this is what I ended up with. So on the right, you can see that this is at our school. And at the left is my furniture that I made. So here are also some drawings. And this is what the presentation looked like at school. So it was like at the same location. And we also had to make it in real life, but also only like a small part of it, because otherwise it would be like too expensive, and also where would I like put this huge furniture? So that's why it was like really small. And then the last subject that I had, like the last design studio, was we had to paint interior from our dreams. And I chose a painting from Monet, and it was like 2 meters on 2 meters. It was really big, and it was also like kind of different than just drawing plans or making a model. And then here are a few drawings from my media class, so we also learn how to draw. Then this is from an expression class, so here we had to make a color palette from leaves, and then we had to like experiment with the different contrasts of color. And this was also my presentation at school. We also learned how to draw on AutoCAD, so this was the first time that I drew plans on AutoCAD. And then this is in my second year. So I had to design a home that was personal for me. So I designed a home that was multifunctional. So it was like related to you and your emotions. So I made it like when I'm happy, I want all the doors open. I want light to come in. And when I'm not feeling well, I want to close all the doors. So that's why it's like a multifunctional house. And here are like a few pictures of with like a fine liner that I made. Also some other pictures and the interior as well. And then this was like a case study that we had to do of the house ohne Eigenschaften from Oswald Ungers. We had to analyze it. So here are some plans from AutoCAD. This is the house in real life. Here are the ground plan, the plans, some sections. I made an analysis from like the light and also like circulation plans. And these are pictures from the model that I made and what the interior looked like. This is from a media class, so here we learned how to work on Photoshop and also on Rhino. This is from my design studio, from my last a subject that I had, and I had to design a library, and it was also multifunctional because you could like place the yellow seats at different positions, and you could also stand on it. And then I also designed like the interior of the rest of the church as well. And this was like a workshop where you learn how to draw 3D on AutoCAD. And here we learned how to make a 3D model. So this was like also the first time that I did something like really realistic. And this was my last media class. So that was everything that we did in the last 2 years.
So Ellen, that was a really nice portfolio, and it was a mix of different skills, I would say. And like media was also there, even design was also there, and Photoshop, SketchUp, like you guys use different kind of software, I guess. So in 2 years you have done a lot of things, right? And it's quite exciting to see different kind of work in your portfolio. And yeah, I really like it. So if a person who is in first year and second year, take inspiration. What do you think about architecture as a career? Like, you have been investing 2 years in architecture education. So what are the things that you have thought of? So what are your opinion about architecture in general?
It's definitely a tough course. Definitely the criticism can be a lot sometimes. So you definitely need to know how to handle that. It's a very personal course as well. The things that you design are like part of you. So that's like very different from just like studying another course where you're just studying the theoretical classes. Nobody really has contact with you. While here it's really about you and your designs. So that is definitely quite different.
What about the criticism? Like, do you think that it does impact you and even sometimes stress you out when the things are not working out?
And so in the beginning, it definitely did. Like, I wasn't like good at receiving criticism at all. But after some time, you just realize that it's for the better, and you can also learn from it. There's a reason why your designs aren't good, or like they aren't saying these things to be mean to you. They are saying these things so that you can learn from it and become a better designer. So that mindset switch definitely helped me to understand the criticism better and to also handle it way better than before. So now it definitely doesn't stress me out. I just think okay, what can I do better with my project? How can I improve?
One more thing that I want to ask from you is that what is the perception of architects in Belgium, in your country, and even in Europe as a whole? So is it a good profession according to you, or how you feel about it? And according to the money, is it well paid, or in Europe the conditions are good for an architect? If someone is planning to move to Europe to work or maybe study, what is your opinion about this?
So I think it definitely is well paid. It's also a tough course to study, so it eventually does pay off when you finally graduate and you work somewhere. I feel there are also a lot of architects, but that doesn't mean that they don't need more architects in Belgium. It's definitely a market that is still growing, and they're still looking for a lot of architects as well, in every city. And yeah, for the most part, what I heard, it definitely does pay well.
So Ellen, do you have any advice for upcoming architecture student or architects? And what do you think that any advice could help these students or architects? So yeah, tell us, what do you think?
So when you get your feedback or criticism, don't take it personal. You're in this course to learn and to grow as a designer. Also, be really good at planning, because sometimes all the deadlines can come at once, and then it's just one catastrophic thing. So definitely be good at planning your designs as well. And also try to have fun. I know architecture school can take a lot of your time, but it's also important to have your own hobbies or do something fun on the side as well.
One more question that I want to ask you as a content creator, how you manage creating content and doing architecture together?
It's very hard. Definitely takes up a lot of planning as well. The editing also takes a lot of time. But I do think, because it's related to architecture, like I'm just filming my day, or I'm just like talking about my project, so it doesn't like take as much time as it would be if I would create it like other content. So because it's like related, it can work together.